Thank you to EA for sponsoring this video. Dragon Age the Veilguard is here, but where do you start and how do you avoid falling into some classic RPG pitfalls? My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and after beating the game and exploring almost everything Veilguard has to offer during early access, I'm sharing everything we wish we knew sooner about BioWare's fourth major installment in a legendary franchise, Dragon Age the Veilguard. When it comes to any RPG, you need a solid foundation, and while simple, this Veilguard tip might just save your life. While exploring the world, keep an eye out for bright green and bright blue barrels. These are pivotal to your success in combat, can often be found in areas and arenas where enemies are lurking. Green barrels will award you with one additional health potion. If you're capped out, the potion will linger on the ground for a short period of time, so you don't need to rush to chug a potion just to pick up another one. Fun fact, if you are maxed out on potions but you're missing health, walking over these will also top you off. In most boss arenas, there are often multiple green barrels, and the best advice I can give you is to do a quick sweep of your surroundings and identify where they may be hiding. In the same vein are blue barrels, which look a little different by comparison. When smashed, these will provide you with a healthy chunk of charge to your ultimate ability, which, as you will come to find out, can tip the balance when surrounded by a group of enemies. It's best to simply dodge through these barrels, as an attack will lock you into an animation, which does leave you exposed ever so slightly to an enemy attack from behind. Throughout Dragon Age, you'll be compelled to explore every side chamber and alternative path. Follow that instinct, and while adventuring, be sure to smash everything in your path. Veilguard hides a lot of resources and crafting reagents inside the various barrels and boxes that you will find pretty much everywhere in the world, and promise me when I tell you, you're going to need mounds of those materials if you hope to upgrade your arsenal of weapons, armor, and accessories for you and your companions. There is no box too small, no barrel worth sparing, so dodge roll your way through everyone's property and reap the benefits. Here's the thing, collecting valuables is only one half of the equation. You'll also need to sell your haul if you want to rake in a healthy mountain of gold coins. Plan out which faction you want to sell your valuables with. Not only will you get gold for your loot, but you'll also gain faction reputation, which is necessary to level up your standing with each of the major factions in the game. Leveling up your reputation with a specific faction allows you to purchase more from that faction store, including powerful gear for you and the companion associated with that faction, as well as decorations for your room and cosmetics. Bottom line, be mindful of where you sell your valuables and make the most of your interactions with each faction. Early on in Dragon Age, you'll collect your first piece of gear, whether that be a weapon, piece of armor, or an accessory. You'll most likely be disappointed that an otherwise cool piece of gear is only classified as common, but here's the thing. Veilguard treats loot differently than most RPGs in one simple way. Throughout your adventure, you'll want to obtain copies of those items because every time you do, the item will rank up, reaching the next tier of rarity. Every time an item reaches that new tier, a new passive benefit will be unlocked, making the item more effective at enhancing your combat capabilities. You'll pick up dozens of items during your adventure, and one thing that can be challenging is figuring out how to find a duplicate so that you can upgrade it. One thing you can do is look at the tooltip. If it's an item related to one of the various factions, there's a small icon at the top of the panel. This lets you know you can find that item at the faction vendor in their respective home city. This is a great way to find items that you like and then easily level up their rarity, giving you access to better benefits so long as you have the faction reputation to buy the item. Items that don't have an icon are world drops, which means you'll have to loot it from gear chests found scattered around the world. This advice also carries through to companion gear, so use it to your advantage, finding and equipping gear that will make the most impact for your team. Combat in Dragon Age the Veilguard is buttery smooth, with attacks, abilities, and companions flashing around your screen in a blaze of particle effects, but underneath all that flash is some important substance. Early on in the game, you'll learn about the rock, paper, scissors system that teaches you the nuance of breaking through each type of enemy health bar, but if you miss those tooltips early on, it's very possible you'll spend more time than you might like dealing less than optimal damage. So, let's make this super simple. Red health bars are an enemy's exposed health pool. Your standard light attacks will do the most damage in this instance, but heavy attacks will also do decently well. Blue health bars are barriers. Each class has a specific ranged attack that can pop these barriers with relative ease. It's important to note that the most effective way to do this is to hit the enemy in a weak spot, often their head, with your ranged ability. For warriors, this is a shield throw, for rogues, it's your bow, and for mages, it's the channeled beam attack. If you're using the game's target lock system, this will default to the enemy's chest, which makes hitting weak spots almost impossible, so you'll need to break the lock and manually target your ranged attacks for maximum impact. You can change the way target lock works in the settings, so explore those to find what works best for you. Yellow health bars are armor. Heavy attacks for each class are the best at cutting through the armor and exposing the red health bar below. The rogue is a bit unique in that it has a full heavy attack sequence where they slash up and then slam down, which is different than that of the mage and the warrior, both of whom have standard heavy attacks. We break this down in more nuance in our class guide video already released on the channel, so check that out if you're still on the fence about what class to play. Finally, orange health bars are blighted, and the best way to break through them is by using charged, light, or heavy attacks. This simply means holding down either the light or heavy attack button, which slightly changes the attack animation, while also dealing increased damage to the blighted health bar. If you master the rock, paper, scissors system of combat in Veilguard, you'll be able to handle any encounter, even when the odds are stacked against you. Knowing the basics of combat is important, but there are some clever quality of life features in Veilguard that makes fighting the darkspawn even easier. First, no matter who's in your party, listen for audible cues that they shout during combat. Specifically, pay attention as they'll often call out when enemies are about to attack you from off-screen. This is incredibly helpful as you're often going to have your back turned to at least one enemy in a group fight. Your companions yelling at you to watch out for a directional attack is far and away the best way to avoid an incoming attack, so keep your head on a swivel, and as always, if you can't hear their commands over the music, I recommend turning that down so you can hear. An even better tip has to do with the way you issue commands to your companions in Veilguard. At the start of the game, you'll be introduced to the full-screen companion interface, which might be a bit overwhelming. Instead of pulling up the full menu, you can hold down the action button, the one that allows you to use your abilities, and off to either side you'll see that each of your companions' 3 abilities have shortcuts as well. This is exactly what you want to be using if you don't want to break the flow of combat and completely stop the action. It can be a bit awkward dodging in one moment and then reaching across for the D-pad the next, but trust me when I say, if you get the hang of the quick action menu, the Veilguard combat feels even better. Now, speaking of quick action menu, I want to call your attention to the runes you have equipped in Solas's dagger. You can slot 3 at any time, and each rune will provide a passive and active buff to the player. You can activate one rune during combat by holding the quick action button and then pressing Y on a controller. If you pull up the quick action menu and then release the button, you'll see that you can press left on the D-pad to rotate between any of the 3 runes in the dagger. However, if a rune is on cooldown, you won't be able to swap it out until it's off cooldown. This is a great way to swap between the various active buffs that runes provide, giving you even more flexibility during combat. Once you reach the lighthouse, the game's hub, you'll be enticed to explore every nook and cranny, and that's all well and good. You'll also meet the Caretaker, a being of the Fade that acts as your guide, but also an important vendor that can help you upgrade and eventually enchant your gear. One thing you might miss is that the Caretaker shop can be upgraded. To do this, however, you need the right amount of Caretaker points, which you accumulate by finding mementos scattered around the world. You should know that the points you accumulate are not spent to upgrade the Caretaker shop, so if you're like me, don't worry about sitting on loads of points. It's just a threshold system. All you need to do is have more points than the threshold, and you can upgrade the Caretaker shop without spending any additional resources. What this means is as soon as you pass the threshold, you should be upgrading the shop without reservation. Doing so will give you the ability to increase the effectiveness of each item by 1 additional level. To be clear, we're not talking about the rarity. That's only upgraded when you find a duplicate. The Caretaker's upgrades go from +1 to +10, and with each level increased, all of the stats on an item will go up. As part of the main story quest, you'll also expand the Caretaker shop to provide enchants. These are completely free and should be utilized on every piece of gear you and your companions have equipped. As you upgrade the Caretaker shop, you'll also have access to new enchants for each of your items, and while you can only have one of each enchant across your entire set of gear, opening up new options gives you way more flexibility in terms of what passive bonuses you can augment your gear with. Bottom line, track down mementos anytime you're exploring out in the world, and always upgrade the Caretaker shop because the benefits are incredibly potent. The first time you explore any area in an RPG is always exciting, and in the case of the Lighthouse, the hub area in Dragon Age: The Veilguard, there's an early surprise worth checking out. In 3 distinct spots outside the main building, you'll find statues. These statues can be interacted with, and doing so will turn them 90 degrees. The goal here is to find 3 sets of statues and have each of the statues face one another. The first set of statues is opposite the main building, to the right of the building where Lucanus eventually resides on your team. To find the matching statue, you'll want to head up the steps to the main building on the left side. Turn the statues towards one another to lock in the first set. The second set of statues is actually on the same catwalk directly above the main doors of the main building. You can reach this area from either set of stairs, and the statues are almost within reach of one another. Again, interact with both, turning them to face one another, and you'll have locked in the second pair. The third set of statues is the most elusive. First, head to the first building on the left where Balara will eventually reside. Head around the back left side of the building and you'll find your first statue. Turn it twice in either direction and you'll see it pointing across the gap of nothingness towards a statue in the distance. To reach the matching statue, head to the second building on the left where Nev resides and head underneath it using the crumbling rocks as a bridge. You'll reach a lower landing and the final matching statue. By matching up all 3 sets of statues, you'll unlock a secret, but it's not exactly clear what. Head back inside the main building, and when you enter the meeting area, head to the wall on the right. The circle-shaped door should have been your clue, and when you approach it, it'll reveal a hidden pathway. Make your way to the back and you'll enter the music room. At this point, there's not much to see here, but you will be able to pick up a codex entry as well as some resources via 2 chests, which aren't bad. But wait, there's more. Progress through the game as normal, and please do not rush just to get through this tip. Eventually you'll unlock Emmerich, one of the companions that will travel with you on your journey. Once Emmerich comes back to the lighthouse, revisit the music room and you'll see that 2 new wisp receptacles are in the room. The 2 wisps are easy enough to find. The first wisp is on the other side of the piano in the same room, pretty hard to miss. The second wisp can be found in the same area as the second set of statues we activated as part of the initial secret, directly above the door of the main building. Bring both wisps back and another secret door will unlock, revealing a portal. Take the portal and teleport to a secret landing above the main room of the lighthouse, and there you can pick up a codex entry, more resources, and most importantly, an item that fixes the floating mechanism above the meeting table. Once you've activated this item, the cost to upgrade the Caretaker shop will be permanently discounted, making it even easier to get stronger gear earlier. If your focus throughout Veilguard is on the main story quest, there's a very real chance you'll miss loads of secrets and upgrades. 2 such activities are Evanuris and Fen'Harel altars, which are found in the open world sections of the game, often hidden in caves or secluded alcoves, and by activating them, you have an opportunity to get permanently stronger. When activated, an Evanuris altar will spawn 4 floating anomalies somewhere in the general area of that altar. It's your job to track the ethereal tendrils coming out of the statue and destroy the anomalies it's connected to. Destroy all 4 anomalies spawned by the Evanuris altar and you'll receive a permanent buff. There are also the Fen'Harel altars. When activated, the giant wolf statue will turn, giving you a sense of which direction the hidden Fen'Harel item is located. Explore in that general direction and keep your eyes peeled for the visage of a wolf and your ears open because when you get close to the destination, you'll hear a distinct howling sound. By finding the idol, you'll receive 1 free skill point, and I don't think you need me to tell you how important that is. Both altars point to some of the side activities you can tackle in the game, but more broadly, each of the various worlds is home to a number of important secrets, including hidden bosses, unique items, and surprise quests. Keep your head on a swivel at all times, because if something looks out of place, it's most likely hiding something fantastic. So there you have it, everything we wish we knew sooner about Dragon Age: The Veilguard. As you play the game and discover even more, be sure to share them in the comments so other players have some of the best secrets in the game yet to find. Thanks again to our friends at EA for sponsoring this video. If you guys appreciate the work that goes into creating this content, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.